It's 8 p.m. in Banjul from our studios on MDI Road. This is the news. First, the headlines. President Barrow departs for the annual co-investment roundtable in Abu Dhabi. Former British Prime Minister Tony Blair discusses Gambia's erratic energy sector with President Barrow. Njoguba and former GPA Managing Director Mahmoud Lamin Jiba reappear before the Janek Commission. And transporters at the Uganda-Tanzania border urge authorities to remove trade barriers. These and other stories coming ahead in this hour. I am Isa Jalo. The President, His Excellency Adama Barrow, accompanied by a high-powered delegation, this afternoon left Banjul International Airport for Abu Dhabi, the capital of the United Arab Emirates, to attend the Global Investment Forum and the 4th Annual Co-Investment Roundtable of Sovereign and Pension Funds. The President was seen off at the Banjul International Airport by the Vice President Aja Fatmata Jallo Tambajang, members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, service chiefs, senior government officials, and a host of other dignitaries. Facts of the President's departure will be aired immediately after this newscast. Former British Prime Minister Tony Blair Tuesday held talks with President Barrow at his Fajar office. Mr. Blair was in the Gambia to discuss development issues with focus on the energy sector. Etienne Silva reports.
President Barrow. The two look visibly delighted to see each other for the second time on an occasion they all look forward to. They held 3 separate meetings during which critical issues of national import discussed.
My institute is helping the President and the government to implement change. So we know there are big priorities for the government around things like electricity, health, education, tourism, agriculture.
The erratic supply of electricity in the country dominated the meeting. Its mention at the highest level appears clear as a great concern to the President, who looks set to find solutions to ending it sooner rather than later. However, the former British Premier thinks he can genuinely lend his expertise in finding a possible solution to the electricity crisis.
Electricity, that's the single biggest challenge, and we'll see what we can do to make sure that we boost the power production, because if people have electricity, they've got opportunity.
Blair, whose foundation works with several African countries to promote change, expressed delight at the prospects he has seen in the country in terms of good governance and democracy, which he said was lacking in the past. Nonetheless, he advised government to consider meaningful programs that transform the lives of the citizenry.
The Gambia's got a great future, but it needs now for people to feel the change on the ground and to see the change in their daily lives.
Moving forward, Mr. Blair promised to work closely with the Barrow administration henceforth in various development areas.
My team will live here and work here and try and help in the changes the country wants to make. So I'm very excited about the prospect.
The meeting between the two statesmen comes in the broader context of addressing structural issues and current development programs as the country enters a new phase of growth and openness.
It is another major notch above in the new government's development process. With a reservoir of knowledge and experience, the former British Prime Minister Tony Blair's ideas may be very useful to the President in finding a solution, especially in the ongoing acute power shortage Gambia is facing, something they have discussed during their closed-door meeting. Etienne Silva, GRTS, Fajara, at the seat of the presidency.
Meanwhile, the government of the Gambia, in partnership with the World Bank and the African Development Bank, have built a roadmap aimed at addressing challenges in the energy sector. Mariama Baldi reports.
The erratic electricity supply in the country continues to be the center of discussion around town. The government in recent days has been assuring the public of its commitment to solve the situation. Thus, the roadmap is expected to bring a lasting solution to the country's energy crisis. Speaking at the press briefing, the Minister of Finance, Amadou Sane, said government is concerned about the current electricity situation.
for the citizens of this country is to know that this government is taking this issue along with other challenges very seriously. We are working with our partners. A roadmap was developed and approved, validated at Kairaba by all the donors that we have, all the partners, and the government approved it in cabinet. So we have plans to deal with the energy situation of this country as a whole, not just the greater Banjul area. But if you would think that some of the villages in this country have never seen a street lamp pole, or they don't have switches to turn on their lights for the past 50 years or more, what are those people going to say?
He added that plans are on the way to provide constant energy supply to the entire country. The Minister of Energy, Fafa Sanyang, said the roadmap is in 3 phases: the emergency, mid-term reform and long-term reform.
Right now, NAWEC is working on the short-term by rehabilitating the existing engines. These engines are old, some of them 30, 40 years old. And all of a sudden we had some breakages. That's what would happen. It's not actually anticipated that it will happen, but because most of the engines have already overrun their maintenance period, that becomes a problem. Notwithstanding, we are taking the challenge, and with our partners, the World Bank, EU and others, we're working hard to make sure that people's expectations are met. But definitely, energy is expensive, as the Minister said, and it takes time to resolve.
The World Bank Country Director, Louis J. Cord, said the Gambia informed of a $6 million investment which seeks to drastically improve the country's electricity situation.
We are building the transmission lines together with other donors to connect Gambia to the West Africa power pool. And that's for $47 million. OnStore is a new project that will bring at least $40 million to bring a solar plant to the Gambia, as well as to improve the institutional functioning of NAWEC.
Madam Court added the roadmap involves scaling up transmission and distribution lines in both urban and rural areas of the country. The Managing Director of NAWEC, Baba Fatajo, reaffirmed his institution's commitment to addressing the current electricity outage. Reporting for the news, I am Mariama Balde.
Former Secretary General Njoguba and former GPA Managing Director Mamadou Lamin Jiba have reappeared before the JANEC Commission to clarify the contract agreement involving Galia Ferry Project, Gambia Food and Feed Industry, and CONAPRO. A former managing director of the foreign exchange operations of the central bank, Lang Conte, also testified on the sale of Kairaba Beach Hotel. We hope to bring you the details of that story in our 10 o'clock news. The National Water and Electricity Company were Tuesday given an extended amount of time to prepare and present their audited reports from 2015 to date by the Public Account and Public Enterprises Committees of the National Assembly. Tenengjita reports.
PEC Committee today commenced proceeding with the session with the National Water and Electricity Company, NAWEC. Halifa Saleh, the chair of the committee, opened by stating the constitutional provisions that created the committee as well as the powers behind the committee.
Clearly stipulated under Section 109 of the Constitution, subsection 3. That for the purpose of effectively performing its functions, each of the committees shall have all the powers, rights and privileges as are vested in the High Court as a trial in respect of enforcing the attendance of witnesses and examining them on oath, affirmation or otherwise.
NAWEC, being the first public enterprise in the chopping block, requested for an extension on the submission of their 2015 report. Thus, the committee meeting was centered on whether to approve the request or not, as well as the significance of presenting a report on time.
Without timely and relevant information, we really wouldn't do justice to the analysis and to our plans or strategic plans to address the issues at hand. So it is extremely important, and it's actually required, as you mentioned, by the Constitution, 3 months, and also by the Act that says 3 months. I mean, those 3 months timelines are there for good reason.
With the absence of the board, the management revealed that there are a couple of reasons why they could not present an audited activity report for the years 2015 and 2016 respectively.
About our IT infrastructure at NAWEC, we have standalone systems. They are not integrated. All the systems that we have, the billing system, the accounting system, the payroll system, fixed assets, everything is a standalone. This is something that has made the preparation of the accounts very, very difficult.
While hoping to set precedents and avoid recurrence and ensuring that all public enterprises submit an audited account in due time, the committee has awarded the management of NAWEC an additional time.
For public enterprises to deliver their reports within 3 months of the end of financial year. That is mandatory.
And we want that to be institutionalized, for it to become a culture. Prices and needs the information that will help it to come up with its annual budget, its plans. So we cannot really waiver that responsibility to report on time. We've seen that we will exercise our prerogative then to help the institutions to transit into 2018 in a manner where they will ensure that by March they will come up with their 2015-2016 documents, no later than March.
There is need for the audited accounts to be presented before the committee in a timely manner, failure of which could have an impact on the country's budget and expenditure, audit as well as tax registered. Reporting for GRTS News, I am Tenengite.
The Vice-Chancellor of Gaston Berger University in St. Louis, Senegal is in the country for an exchange visit. The visit is to strengthen relations with the University of the Gambia. Aissatou Keita has more.
Berger University of St. Louis in Senegal are visiting the Gambia for the 3rd time. This visit to their Gambian counterparts is premised on development, as the institutions align mutual efforts to advance their development needs.
We are all the more delighted as this is a good example of South-South partnership between our 2 universities, and the University of the Gambia, which is a university in transition, needs support from brother or sister universities, and we are very happy to be able to contribute to the building of this important project, which is the building and the growing of the University of the Gambia.
It was a welcomed visit by the Vice-Chancellor of the country's highest citadel of learning, who is meeting them for the first time since he became Vice-Chancellor sometime last year.
The Gaston Berger University has offered us to mount master program immediately. The one is in electronics telecommunication, the other program is in renewable energy. These are 2 master programs which can be started with the help of Gaston Berger University at the earliest. The university, the faculty members under the leadership of Dr. Sar will visit the Gaston Berger University during the first week of December, and they will work with their counterparts, and finally they will chalk out the implementation and actionable plan.
Fostering partnership is just one out of the many reasons for their visit, but the University of the Gambia is set to begin a master's program in electronics and telecommunications anytime soon, thanks to the efforts of their Senegalese counterparts.
This faculty and that faculty from UTG should meet and agree on the work plan for the next academic session, so that would be very important. It would be also helpful to actually put some of the colleagues in the hot seat, dear Vice Chancellors, by asking that we engage in at least 2 concrete collaborative research kind of projects, whether they are projects that just need implementing and the other partner will join in the implementation, or whether it is actually from the conception to the actual writing of proposals.
It is an exchange visit that has been taking place between the two institutions for a while now. But this recent one could not be more important, according to officials. Already efforts are underway to improve standards in the university through exchange programs like this visit by Gaston Berger University. The UTG hopes to reciprocate it to fast-track cooperation and partnership agreements for the greater good of the two institutions. For GRTS News, I am Aissatou Keita.
The Ministry of Health, in collaboration with the Gambia Diabetes Association, on Tuesday commemorated World Diabetes Day. The celebration had a theme, Women and Diabetes, Our Right to a Healthy Future. Aissatou Jata reports.
World Diabetes Day is celebrated annually on the 14th of November. It is in this light that the Gambia Diabetes Association and partners join the rest of the world to commemorate the day. Diabetes, according to health experts, is a chronic condition caused by a high sugar level in the blood as a result of too little or no insulin. It can also occur when the body is not able to utilize insulin.
You have diabetes, what do you feel? How do you know you have diabetes? Well, when diabetes is coming into you, you stand to drink a lot, eat a lot, and urinate a lot. Especially if you wake up at night more than twice to pass urine, you should think of diabetes and you should go and see a doctor. Also, if you start losing weight and you can't explain it, and for some women, they have their private part itching, and if you have a wound and the wound is not healing, you should really go and see a doctor, get your blood sugar tested.
According to Dr. Gay, our lifestyle could also increase the risk of diabetes.
The other type of diabetes is type 2 diabetes, and that can happen because of overweight, lack of exercise, and having a very, very poor diet. It also runs in families, type 2 diabetes. If your mother is diabetic, you stand a 30% chance, and if your mother and father are diabetic, you stand a 95% chance of getting diabetes.
A campaign theme is chosen, and the theme for this year is Women and Diabetes, Our Right to a Healthy Future. The campaign will promote the importance of affordable and equitable access for all women and girls at risk for or living with diabetes to the essential diabetes medicines and technologies.
Dr. Samira Jah of the World Health Organization renewed the agency's commitment to combating the disease.
This day is a very important day to recommit ourselves to strengthening the prevention and control of diabetes in our region. Globally, there has been a dramatic increase in obesity among children and adolescents aged between 15 to 19 years old, from 11 million in 1975 to 124 million in 2016. In our region, the number of children who are overweight or obese has doubled since 1990, from 5.4 million to about 10.3 million.
We can live a normal and even healthier life with diabetes if we do the following: exercise regularly, follow our diet plan, take medication as prescribed, maintain good body hygiene, and do regular control of our blood sugar and urine to be sure that the efforts made are adequate.
Dr. Cherno Omar Bari said women's health need to be protected to save future generations.
Poor management will result in poor health outcomes and an increased livelihood of developing complications. The World Diabetes Foundation of Germany has offered a grant of $211,181 to the Ministry of Health for the period of 4 years between 2017 to 2020 for diabetes and hypertension education, prevention and management.
The celebration ended with people being screened for diabetes and hypertension. Aissatou Jata, GRTS.
The National Environment Agency on Monday convened a meeting, a media briefing to reaffirm its stand on reinforcing the ban on plastic bags. Remendy reports.
2 years ago in 2015, the country, the Republic of the Gambia, took up a giant step in banning plastic bags in the country. Plastic bags now becomes an illegal product. No one, under no circumstance, must consume it. deal with it, import it, or export it.
The National Environmental Agency said this is the message it wants the general public to know and to respect. Dr. Baji said the law will punish those found wanting accordingly.
There's a serious penalty associated with this. And when that comes, you will not talk about we are not aware and so forth, because I think the issue of plastic ban is across the country. People know it, but they are still doing it because they feel that the law is somebody brought it, and then the person is not around, that law is no more existing.
But why the need for the ban on plastic bags?
Most of the time you go to this our aquatic environment, the mangrove swamp, you have a lot of plastic there. And some of these plastics have been consumed by some of the things, fishes and other things. The animals also, because we use it as a way of grabbing our food, and the animals also use it, and in the process it goes stuck in their stomach. Eventually they will go off.
Plastic bags are also a danger to human health when consumed.
The plastic, we as human beings, we use it in all kinds, because here the way we manage waste is very poor. We burn it, and so sometimes you see women, it's hard, it's unfortunate, instead of when they put it on the plastic, instead of piercing the plastic, they use the hot oil to pierce the plastic, and that plastic ends up part of the soup, and you are eating all this kind of thing. So that's why the government look it upon themselves to see that this is a danger for our life, for our future generation, and it is important for us to look into it.
We are seeing now the very ones we ban, the very ones that the ban target, are now coming into the markets. People are even importing them, and we even understood that some people are manufacturing them in hidden places. We are Gambians, yes, it's a new Gambia, it's democracy. Democracy does not mean you do things that are very, very bad, that are against the law.
The National Environmental Agency, tasked with the sound environmental management of the country, said it knows a good number of the business community rely on plastic bags for economic gains, but notwithstanding, the ban remains alive. Louis Mendy, GRTS.
Miss Gambia 2017 Maria Macham has been crowned Miss Elegance at the recently organized Miss Globe International Beauty Pageant in Tirana, Albania, where she represented the country. By Ibrahim Cham has the rest of the story.
This showdown, unlike the previous final, produced a winner. The final, which featured another frantic encounter between these two giant sides, ended with Studio FC finally emerging the winner of the tournament. They defeated Birmingham 2-1.
And now to sports. Studio FC are the winners of Combo Kerouan 2017 League Cup final. They defeated Birmingham FC 2-1 in a replay final. Mamadou Lamine Sane watched that game.
This showdown, unlike the previous final, produced a winner. The final, which featured another frantic encounter between these two giant sides, ended with Studio FC finally emerging the winner of the tournament. They defeated Birmingham 2-1 after another tense 90-minute showdown. Kemo Jata gave Studio the lead 4 minutes into the game before Musa Jata leveled matters in the 23rd minutes of the first half. Studio's Abdoulaye Konate was the hero of the day after scoring what was the winning goal of the final.
I'm very much happy of the players' performance because they really did well compared to the last final. So this year I went back talked to them about the final. So we prepared well and thank God that we won.
I'm very much satisfied with the performance. I think it's just a matter of luck.
Do you think you prepared well for this final?
Yeah, we prepared well for the final. I think this is the problem of it's not the before I used to say it's a tactical problem, but I understand the caliber of the striker is what moved the defenders. This is the first time they play in senior now, and then they are in the final. Unfortunately, we lose it. But what is there is that this team is a continuous process. We will go, and next year, certainly if you come, you will see us also going to the final.
The final marked the end of a successful season under the task force.
This task force committee came to make sure that they normalize everything in football, because if you see what was going on in Kerawan, football doesn't deserve that. Our mandate is to devise a constitution to make sure that whosoever wants to be the president or the secretary general of the Combo Kerawan sport committee must seek the mandate of the people. Do you understand? Power must be given to people. So it is part of our mandate to give power to the people.
And stakeholders will be hoping to see the plans outlined by the committee, particularly constitutional reform. Reporting for GRTS Sports, I am Mulamin San.
Transporters using the Uganda-Tanzania border want authorities to do more to eliminate trade barriers. They are concerned about the continued delays in clearing goods despite the commissioning of a one-stop border post. CGTN's Hilary Aesiga reports.
You come here and wait for days before the goods are cleared. We now want to come here, they clear our goods, then proceed to Kampala and offload.
And he's lucky the two leaders are here to do exactly that.
What we are doing here today, people say we are facilitating the trade, but they forget to add on that actually we are facilitating prosperity of the people, because trade is not an end in itself.
The creation of a one-stop border post has made business much easier for traders here. They can now pay their tax dues without facing many hurdles.
To reduce further delays, local authorities now want to establish a banking system at the border.
Imagine someone comes and has to go and pay tax in Shotera and then come back. It takes long, it's costly, so we would really wish that we would have banks coming and establishing branches here.
It's estimated that more than 300 cargo trucks cross this border daily. Now with everything under one roof, transporters could spend less time before goods are delivered to the consumers. Hilary Isga, CGTN, Mutukula, Central Uganda.
And before we take leave of you, a recap of the day's main stories. President Adama Barrow has left for the annual Co-Investment Roundtable Forum in Abu Dhabi. Former British Prime Minister Tony Blair has discussed solutions to the Gambia's erratic energy sector with President Barrow. Njoguba and former GPA Managing Director Mamadou Lamin Jiba Tuesday reappeared before the Janek Commission. And transporters at the Uganda-Tanzania border have urged the authorities to remove trade barriers. That was all in this edition of news. Thanks for the pleasure of your company.